Hello, my dear students. Welcome to CMI's online classes. In today's class, we are going to start a new chapter from our English textbook. This is chapter 2, and this chapter is a poem. And the title of this poem is My Ship is Being Shippies. This is a fun poem that teaches us to play with words. And at the end of this lesson, at the end of this poem, we will able to understand some animal idioms. Idioms, as we have already completed this topic in our vocabulary section from English grammar. But here in this poem, we are going to understand idioms that are used with the names of animals. That means animals' idioms. So it will be lots of fun for all of us to read this poem and to understand this poem. And after reading this poem, we will be appreciating the poet's use of humor by using animal names in different ways. And we will also understand the meaning of the play of words associated with each animal. And we will also identify the homophones in the poem. And we will also be able to identify alliteration that is used by the poet in the poem. So now here we will warm up ourselves by reading a kind of poem just we have here in chapter 2. This is not the actual poem that we are going to understand in the poem, but this is also a kind of the poem that we are going to understand in this chapter. So let us read and understand this warm-up poem. This poem will help us to connect with the actual poem that we are going to understand in this chapter. And the title of this poem is My Hair is Resting on My Head by Ken Nesbitt. So just listen to my reading of the poem. I am here to read the poem, so please listen to the poem very attentively, dear students. My hair is resting on my head. My hair is resting on my head. I also have bare feet and swallows in my throat, and there are calves below my seat. A seal is on my lips today. A slug is on my fist. A mussels on my shoulder, and a tick is on my wrist. A wasp is on my yellow jacket where it likes to be. A fly is on my zipper, though I wish that it would flee. My dough is on my wallet, and my soul is on my shoe. I hope your tail was not a bow. What's new, my dear, with you? Okay, students, now I have read this poem. Now you have to tell me what have you understood from this poem. Did you understand anything? Did you find any story or any particular message from this poem? I hope you would probably say no. Actually, it is real that there is no particular message or story in this poem. And this poem can be considered a nonsense poem. A poem with the play of words and the use of animal names in the place of their homophones is very appreciating that is used by the poet. You will also write this poem in your notebook, and you will replace all these words where the animals have been used by the correct homophones. Like the title in itself, HARE, hair, should be replaced by the another homophone HAIR, hair. So here we have to replace the name of animals by the actual used word or the correct words which are the homophones for all those animals' names which are used in this poem. So for your kind information, you all have to write this poem in your copy also, and then you will replace all those animals' names with the correct homophones that sound similar to those used animals' names. Okay, students? Like in stanza 1, we have hair and hair. One is HARE, hair, another is HAIR, hair. And another one is bear. One is BEAR, bear, another is BARE, bear. Understood? And the next one in the same stanza is swallows. One is SWALLOWS swallows, and the next is also SWALLOWS swallows. These are homonyms. Another one is CALVES calves and CALVS calves. Both the words are homonyms. In this way, we have so many words that are used as homophones and homonyms. In stanza 2 also, 3 also, and 4 also. Like in stanza 2, we have seal and seal, homonyms. And slug again, homonyms. Muscle and muscle. One is MUSSEL, muscle, and another is MUSCLE, muscle. These two words are homophones. And the next is both tick and tick. These two words are homonyms. As you have already known about the differences between homophones and homonyms from our vocabulary section in our previous class, that you will be able to identify each, which words are homonyms and which words are homophones. Now in stanza 3 we have wasp and wasp, bee and bee, fly and fly. These three are homonyms, and another one is homophone, that is flea and flea, FLEA and FLEE. These two words are homophones. In stanza 4 we have do and do. One is DOE, do, and another is DOUGS, do. These two words are homophones. And the another word is soul, SOLE, soul, and another is also SOLE, soul. These two words are homonyms. And another is TAIL, tail, and TALE, tail. These are homophones. And next is BOAR, bore, BORE, bore. This is also an example of homophones. And now the another word is GNU, nu, and another word NEW, nu. These are also homophones. And DEAR, deer, 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 EWE, oo, and YOU, you. These two words are homophones. Now I hope you have understood the words, that there are words which are played by the poem, and this is the actual beauty of the poem, the use of words as the play. So here we have to appreciate the poet for his clever use of words of animal names in place of the other actual words, and has made the poem a very playful one. Now we are going to read the another poem which we have actually in this chapter. My Sheep is Being Sheepish. And this poem is also written by the same poet, the poem which I read just before. My hair is resting on my head. But unlike the first poem which I read, in this poem, apart from knowing more about homophones and homophones, we will understand more about idioms which are used in the name of animals. But the theme is same. The first poem which we read and the poem which we are going to read, these two poems carry the same theme, which actually do not carry any kind of messages or any story to deliver among the readers, but just we will have fun while reading the poems, while reading it, because we will come to know about the play of words. We will understand how to play with words to have fun while reading these poems. So let us read this actual poem which we have in this book. This poem is of 4 stanzas. Like the poem which I read at first, that was also of 4 stanzas, and this poem, My Sheep is Being Sheepish, is also of 4 stanzas. So let's read the poem. You all listen to my reading very attentively, okay? My Sheep is Being Sheepish by Ken Nesbitt. My sheep is being sheepish, my cat is acting catty. My horse, of course, is sort of horse. My bat is completely batty. My chicken's plainly chicken, my hair is fairly hairy. My cuckoo's truly cuckoo, My mare is mainly merry. My fish is really fishy, and so my flea is fleeing. My slug is somewhat sluggish. My bee is simply being. I have so many animals, and this is how they are feeling. Except for one who is tons of fun. My seal is on the ceiling. By Ken Nesbitt. Now, in this poem, the poet has built adjectives from the names of animals by describing those animals. Like, for example, ship is for ship, catty for cat, batty for bat, and etc. There are so many adjectives that are found by the names of animals, and the poet has played with all these words in this poem. With these adjective forms of all these animals' names, the poet has also cleverly made idioms with those mention of animals' names. While I explain the poem line by line, you will come to know about the idioms made by the poet in the name of all these animals in the form of adjectives. So while I explain the meaning of all these animal idioms, you will have to be ready with pencil and mark it down in your book and underline all those animal idioms and write down their meanings too. So students, are you ready? So be ready with the pencil and book and note down the meaning of all these animal idioms just under the names where these idioms are mentioned and written by the poet. Like in stanza 1, the poet mentions his ship is ship. That means his ship is sheepish. But what actually is the meaning of ship is ship? Here the word sheepish means embarrassed or ashamed, irritating, and his cat is so catty. Catty means spiteful. His horse, who is hoarse, that means sounding very harsh due to sore throat. That means the horse is suffering from sore throat. That means the horse has some pain in his. That is why the horse is horsehair. And his bat is also very batty. That means batty means insane, stupid or mindless. So this is the paraphrasing of this poem. Paraphrasing means line by line explanation of the poem. Line by line explanation of the poem is called paraphrasing. So this was the paraphrasing of the first stanza, and now I am going to paraphrase second, third and fourth stanza of this poem. In second stanza, the poet's chicken is chicken. That means his chicken is very coward, a fearful chicken. And the hare, that is hairy. That means the poet's bunny, hare, a rabbit, is full of hair, covered with lots of hair. His cuckoo is cuckoo. That means his cuckoo is very crazy. Here cuckoo means one cuckoo is the name of the bird and another cuckoo means crazy. And the poet's mare is very merry. That means very cheerful and lively. In the third stanza, the poet's flea is fleeing. That means running away. Because his fish is fishy. That means his fish appears to be very suspicious, while his slug is sluggish. That means inactive or slow moving. And his bee is simply being. That means existing. Just there is the existence, that means presence of the bee. Nothing else the bee is doing. Now in stanza 4, the poet says he has so many animals and has said how they are feeling. See, whatever the poet has expressed in stanza 1, 2 and 3, these all stanzas include the feelings of the animals the poets have explained or mentioned in his 3 stanzas of this poem. But rest of all these animals which he has mentioned in 3 stanzas, he wants to express that none of the animals he has mentioned in these 3 stanzas is more happy or cheerful than the animal he is now going to mention in stanza 4, who is a lot of fun, and that is the seal, which is on the ceiling. That means on the upper surface of the room. That means the poet's seal is on the ceiling. So students, once you read this poem on yourselves and try to understand the actual fun by lining out all the meanings of all these animals, idioms and their meanings. Now students, we have some exercises, questions and answers we have to complete in this chapter, and some of the questions are there which are related to the context of the poem. Means from stanza 1, it is written that stanza 1, my ship is being shippish, to the last line, completely batty. This full stanza covers the question from the context, and the question number 1 is, how is the ship behaving? We know that the ship is behaving shippish, but we will not write the answer like this. The ship is behaving shippish. Now I have already explained the meaning of shippish. Here we have to write the answer with the meaning of the word shippish. That means embarrassing or ashamed. In the same way, whatever the questions are asked in these exercises which are related to the context of the poem, we need not write the adjective form of these animals which are written in the poem itself, but we need to understand the real meaning of all these animals adjectives, and we have to write the actual meaning of all these adjectives formed by the animal names. Understood students? I will also be guiding you while doing all these exercises. And the another main point that we have to discuss in this poem is the figures of speech used by the poet. So here the figures of speech used by the poet is alliteration. See, first we have to understand what is alliteration, then we will identify the use of alliteration in the poem. An alliteration in a poem is a poetic device that repeats a speech sound in a sequence of words in a line. That means phrase or a group of words that repeats the same consonant sound regularly, that forms an alliteration. Like here we have catty cat, okay, sippy sip, batty bat, hairy hair. All these are the examples of alliteration. Understood students? Now we have to understand how to find out the rhyming scale of the poem. The poem has been divided into 4 stanzas, and to find out the rhyming scale of each stanza, we have to read each line very carefully, and we have to note out the last word from each stanza, and we need to read all those words once again after reading the stanza. If the last word sounds same, or if the last word has the rhyming word with the next last word of the next line in the same stanza, it will follow the same rhyming scale. Rhyming scale starts with the letter A. Like if you see the last word of stanza 1, we have sippis, and see the last word of the second line, it is catty. So sippis and catty These two words, they have no rhyming scale. These two words do not rhyme. So the first word we will take as A, and though the second word it does not rhyme with the first word CPs, so it will become B. Now let's see the third word in third line. Third word in third line is horse, and this word also does not rhyme with any of the two words from first line and second line. So this word can also be taken as letter C. Now we have CP's catty horse, A, B, C. Now come to the next word of the fourth line, that means last line of this stanza, that is batty. Now let's see if this word rhymes with any of the word that we have taken in these previous three lines. We have CP's, catty and horse. Yes, this last word batty rhymes with catty, that is second word of the stanza. So second word of the stanza is B. So this batty will also be B. So the rhyming scheme of the first stanza is A, B, C, B. So in the same way we will find the other stanzas of the poems are also rhymed in the same scale, that is A, B, C, B. So finally we have, or I have explained all the aspects that we had to understand from the poem. Now finally I am going to summarize the poem for the final conclusion and for the final understanding, so that you may also come with your mindful brain to understand what we understood from the entire poem. So listen to my summarization very attentively. I am going to summarize the poem. So this is the summary of the poem. The poet describes his animals, 13 in all, using adjectives which are homophones, homonyms of, for derived from the animal's name itself. The poet mentions his CP's, that means embarrassed or ashamed sheep, his catty, a spiteful cat, his horse, who is a horse, sounding harsh due to a sore throat, and his batty, bat, that means an insane bat. The poem then moves on to the poet's chicken, that is chicken, that means the poet's chicken is very coward, very frightful, and his hair, that is hairy, that means the poet's hair is covered with a lot of hair, and his cuckoo, who is cuckoo, that means the poet's cuckoo is very crazy, and the poet's mare, who is very merry, that means very cheerful and lively, very joyful. Not forgotten are the flea, that is fleeing, running away, because of fish is fishy, that appears very suspicious, while the slug is sluggish, that means very inactive or slow moving, and the bee is simply being, existing, doing nothing. So the poet says he has so many animals and has said how they are feeling. So whatever the poet has mentioned about the animals are the feelings of the animals, and none of them are happy except for one animal who is a lot of fun, and that animal is the seal on the ceiling, on the upper surface of the poet's room. So I hope, students, you really enjoyed the poem, as the poem is just a humor. This is because this is a humorous children poem that aims to make the children laugh, that aims to make its reader laugh and have fun after reading the poem. So this poem is a humor, a fun that we all enjoy together while reading and explaining the poem. Hope you will find it more funny, more enjoyable while reading it again and again with your friends, with your brothers and sisters, with your cousins at homes, whenever you get time to have fun. So students, have fun while reading this poem. So this was all we understood and all we had to understand from this poem. So this much for today's class. Thank you so much, students.